if you have low testosterone symptoms, you're going to be struggling with the following. You're going to feel tired all the time, low energy. Anything you have to do, like going to the grocery store, cleaning the house on a Sunday, listening to your mom being annoying, everything is just super annoying and much more taxing on yourself. You're going to be irritable all the time, mood changes, you're going to feel negative constantly. If you're an entrepreneur, you're going to face obstacles, 100%. And your ability to make decisions and act on them is going to be much lower. It's really seriously going to impact the quality of your life. Testosterone is super important. It's going to be very hard to put on muscle mass, right? Because muscle protein synthesis, basically the extent to which you can convert protein after muscle breakdown in the gym, is going to be much harder and lower. So the extent of which you can convert the proteins you eat into bigger muscle fibers is largely determined by the extent or the height of your testosterone levels. So basically all the calories you eat, or the surplus that you're eating in, most likely of that is going to be converted to fat gain instead of muscle mass. So you want to have high testosterone levels if you want to build muscle mass, which will lead to relatively having high fat mass body composition. People who just have lower testosterone levels, their relative fat amount is going to be more than someone who has higher testosterone levels, right? You're going to have low confidence. You're really not going to be feeling very well. Your mood is going to be bad, as mentioned before. It's just not a situation you want to be in. Your focus and concentration, man, the amount of work you can do and the amount of deep work you can dive into, and the extent of period of time in terms of hours to be able to focus on tasks and get stuff done, is going to be much lower. If you have high testosterone levels, for example, it's easy to just focus and just on one task, keep going and going and going in your work for like 4, 5, 6 hours straight without even looking up from the screen. You're just gonna be tunnel visioned, like a horse who has the eye pads on. It just only sees his goal. It keeps going and going and going. It's very hard to have that with low testosterone. You're gonna be distracted all the time, tired. It's just gonna be super hard to get anything done. What are normal test levels? What you see here is my score when I got it tested about a year ago. This is basically a scale going from, okay, here it starts as 0, but most scales in most countries go from like 200 to 1,200, 1,100. Some countries it's 900. Nowadays the scale is just getting lower and lower and lower, so a high range is becoming lower. Countries change it quite frequently as the world is turning into more of a feminist environment. It's not great at all. If you struggle with low symptoms, seriously, get it tested. And getting tested is not always going to be so easy. It depends on the country you're living in. So for example, when I wanted to have this tested, I was living in the Netherlands. I'm currently living in Thailand. I was in the Netherlands, and it took me 3 hours to figure out how I could get these levels tested, because the country is very left, it's very social. So what I would have to do, I would have to go onto a website, buy a test, then find a doctor that wants to take my test, and then find a lab who wants to look at my results. It took me 3 hours to figure out how this whole thing worked. So I went to Poland, this is where my dad lived, went to a private clinic next morning, just walked in, paid the amount, got my blood drawn, and the next morning I could pick it up, and these were the results. If you're gonna have your test levels tested, you wanna look into total testosterone and free testosterone, right? Because free testosterone, which is normally about 2 to 3%, that's the circulating free amount that can be used for muscle protein synthesis. So both are important. The total amount, because 2% of 300 is much less than 2% of about like around 900 that I have. So you wanna know both of those. I checked out some meta-analysis for Europe and North America, and it turned out that 900 was in the top 3 to 5% of the world. And a lot of people say, man, you're so lucky to have high levels. And yeah, maybe partially it's genetic, but mostly is lifestyle. Having a good lifestyle is crucial for testosterone levels. The only reason I believe I have such high levels is because I live for fitness, man. This is my life. I've been doing this thing for more than 10 years. I've built myself up to an elite level physique, which is why these test results come out as a result of that. How can you have elite level physical stats if your testosterone levels are going to be very low? It's basically impossible, right? So one feeds the other. How to boost testosterone? Lifestyle is numero uno. It's number one. It's everything. People tend to look to quick fixes. What do I have to eat? What supplements do I have to take? But it's really the total picture. Just like with food, you can't really say that a specific food is healthy or not. You can't really label something as healthy or unhealthy without context. You could label food as processed or unprocessed, but let's say you have two different types of scenarios, right? You have one guy eating 3 hot dogs a day, considered to be quite unhealthy, right? But he has a good sleeping schedule, his stress is low, he exercises regularly, and all his lifestyle parameters are pretty much on point, but he eats 3 hot dogs sometimes a week. Would you say that person is being unhealthy? Would you say that food is bad for him? Not really, because that man is living a super healthy lifestyle. As somebody else who eats stereotype chicken and broccoli and rice every single day, for example, but his sleep is messed up, has no circadian rhythm, so basically he goes to sleep at like 5 a.m., super high stress levels, low sunlight exposure, but doesn't drink but eats clean all the time, that person is going to be much more unhealthy. Because in the big picture of things, with all the context, that man is living a much more unhealthy lifestyle, no matter if he's having 3 hot dogs or not. So you need to look into total lifestyle. Total lifestyle meaning you want to exercise regularly, you want to eat well, you want to have good sleep, you don't want to drink too much, or preferably nothing at all. And if you do that for a long period of time consistently, and develop your physique to become more and more and more advanced, from beginner to expert to elite level, testosterone levels are going to increase. You can take certain supplements, test boosting things that you see on the market all the time, but if your lifestyle is messed up, it's not going to do anything. It's only the 1 or 2% extra. Alcohol, if you want to get much out of your life, so if you want to be an entrepreneur, just want to be productive or build an incredible shape, cut that stuff out. It's toxic, it's really bad for you, it's really bad on the liver, it just messes you up, really. If you have 3 beers, for example, doesn't do so much to your testosterone levels. If you have 9 beers, it's going to decrease your testosterone levels for 35% for the next 48 hours. That is very significant, right? And we just figured out that the extent to which you can build muscle mass is mainly determined by your testosterone levels. So you can work out very hard, but if your testosterone is low, you're not going to convert much of that broken down muscle through protein synthesis into bigger muscle because your testosterone is low. So if you drink regularly, like 10, 20, 30 beers, for example, of amounts of alcohol in a week, you're going to be able to convert much less muscle than somebody else. Lifestyle is the most important thing. Next up, we have sleep. I say it all the time. Sleep is the human superpower. It truly is. There's nothing more powerful than sleep. You can have your nutrition on point, you can have low stress levels, but if you sleep too little, it's going to be super hard for you to get those testosterone levels up. So effects of low sleep are increased appetite. You're just going to be more hours awake than if you wouldn't be sleeping more. So let's say you would sleep 8 hours a night, the remaining part of it is just you going to be awake. Let's say you were to sleep 4 hours, that's 4 hours more awake time. You're very likely to just even want to eat more by being 4 hours more awake than if you would be sleeping. And then the energy needs to come from somewhere. So if you're sleep deprived, you need energy anyway to perform and do your daily tasks. So your body is going to want to get that energy from something else. You're going to be eating more eventually. You're going to have decreased metabolism, decreased testosterone production, increased stress hormone secretion up to 50%, which is very bad. So basically a high amount of cortisol. Cortisol has a negative effect on testosterone levels, are going to go down pretty badly. right? Adverse change in nutrient distribution. So the amount you'll be able to process nutrients into your body, break them down for all of its functions is going to go down. Increased insulin resistance, also not ideal. Decreased well-being, your mood is going to go down. Sleep is super important, man. You don't have enough REM sleep to process all of the cognitive information that you have to do, to save it. Lack of sleep can have a negative effect on muscle growth and fat loss, among other things. Many people heavily underestimate the importance of getting enough sleep at night. It's really super important. It's number one. Sleep is the human superpower. One of the best things you can do for general health is have a good night's sleep. One is a minimum of 7.5 hours of quality sleep, essential for everyone. If you're trying to put on muscle mass or you go lift weights regularly, 8 to 9 hours is beneficial. 9 is ideal. If you sleep 9 hours every single night, you're gonna feel and wake up feeling like Superman. You can track your sleep with something like an Aura ring or a Whoop watch. You can dive into how much time did I spend in REM sleep, what is the quality of my light sleep, what is the quality of REM sleep, what is the quality of my overall sleep. It gives you metrics into the changes you make to basically see how much they are well being paid off or where do you have to improve, right? And here I put up 2 infographics of back in the day where infographics used to be a popular thing on Instagram by my partner of the Week Meals nutrition software we have, which can set up applications with skilled recipes to custom macros. You don't need to have to track a single thing. Everything is on point. It's freaking ideal. It's basically MyFitnessPal on steroids that we made. He used to make these infographics. So here's some insight into what poor sleep does to your body composition. You can pause the video here. I won't get into much detail in this, but you can just pause it and have a read. So these are some of the effects of poor sleep, and you want to have 7.5 hours minimum of quality sleep, and if you're training, 8 to 9 is even better. Well, how to sleep better? First of all, you want to sleep in a dark, cool room with a temperature between 18 to 25 degrees Celsius. 19/20 is about optimal. I notice if I'm traveling, if I'm going to PP Island here in Thailand with my girlfriend or something, and the air conditioning sucks, it just heavily impacts the quality of my sleep. I can still sleep 8 hours, but it will feel like I slept like 5 or 6, for example, right? Don't do anything but sleeping in your bedroom, other than the place where the magic happens as well. You don't want to associate that place with anything else. So don't work in there, don't watch movies in there, just don't do anything else, because when you go to bed, you're going to associate that place with work if you're always working there. So ideally you just want to have a place where you're working, a place where you're eating, and a place where you're sleeping, right? Because you will program your subconscious mind to do certain things as a habit creation in that area. I go to my bedroom, a place where I only sleep, I don't do anything else in there. If I just enter it, automatically my mind will shut down and will be ready to fall asleep easier and better, because I programmed it in that way by only doing stuff associated with sleeping in there, nothing else. Do not eat 2 hours prior to sleep, right? There's a study that proves that if you sleep 2 hours prior to bed, it just reduces the quality of your sleep. It will not change your body composition, because that's still calories in versus out, but it can impact the quality of your sleep. Reduce water intake as well, because otherwise you will have to hit the bathroom, wake you up in the middle of the night. You don't want that as well. Reduce blue light / screen time. Instead, for example, read a book. So blue light is basically keeping you up. There's a sensor in your eye, or blue light is being exposed to it, the more it will trigger your brain to be awake, as if it's daylight. So the more blue light you have, more your brain will be triggered to wanting to stay awake, which is also another reason, or something that will help out as well, which I haven't put on the list, is you want to have as much sunlight exposure throughout the day, so you're much more active and awake, and therefore you are more productive and you do more, and you will also be more tired when it is time to fall asleep. And when you do want to sleep, you want to have the room as dark as you can have it. So you can put on like a sleeping mask, for example. I always sleep on with a sleeping mask, even if the room is dark. I just want to have it pitch dark. for the best quality of sleep. Instead, for example, read a book. Like, don't maybe dive into very big self-development books, because it will trigger your mind into thinking again. It's kind of a form of work, so if you do that in your bed, you're going to start to associate it with working, with self-developing. Just read something that's like fiction, something that will just kind of get you going into sleeping mode. Shower. Make sure that you are clean. The more clean, the more hygiene you have before you go to bed, the higher your sleep quality will also be. Have a clean room. If you're just gonna have a very messy, distracted room, impact your quality of your sleep and the extent to which you'll be able to fall asleep faster. And have a circadian rhythm. Having a circadian rhythm basically means being awake when the sun is up, so when there's sunlight, and getting as much sunlight exposure in as possible, and being asleep when the sun is down. Some people who work at night and have to sleep during daytime, sleep quality is going to detrimentally decrease. Seriously. Like, for example, now I'm staying in Thailand, different time zone. I work with a lot of online coaching clients who are from Europe, and their time zone is different. If I have coaching calls later at night and I fall asleep later, it impacts my quality of sleep. I can have the same amount of hours in, but if I fall asleep at like 2, 3 a.m., it's going to impact it already, versus when I would go to bed at like 10 p.m., 11. These are only a few. There is much, much, much more to this. And everything is explained in great detail in my CK Fitness Accelerator course, which currently is only available to my online coaching clients. Alright, supplements. There are basically two things, or one supplement that really, really helps. And that is zinc. Zinc intake. The better your elemental zinc values, the higher your testosterone levels are going to be. However, these things are only kind of a cherry on the icing of the cake. So if your lifestyle is not good, supplements are not going to do anything for you. It's just really, if everything is in place, it's going to add that little bit of extra spice on top of it. Supplements are not going to compensate or take away having a poor lifestyle, right? If your sleep is just very messed up, your sleeping rhythm is messed up, you have high stress levels, you don't go to the gym, your nutrition is very processed and unhealthy, not gonna be good. Alright? Fat intake. So basically, every nutrition, so protein, fats and carbs, they all have a different function in the body. The main function of fat is to regulate all of your body's functioning. So the capacity of your brain, the degree to which it is functioning well, how your liver is working, how all of your organs are working. Everything is determined by fat intake. So that includes a hormone regulation. So if your fat intake on a daily basis is just too low, it's going to negatively impact your hormone levels, your testosterone levels. So you want to make sure that you always hit the required fat intake amount every day. For health reasons, you want to make sure that those fats are unsaturated fats. Saturated fats are not good. They lead to inflammation, poor blood levels, a whole bunch of other stuff. Unsaturated fats are the ones that you want to have. Another thing you don't want to do is you don't want to eat too much processed foods. So processed foods like junk food, everything has a negative impact, which is why lifestyle again is so important. Anything that's bad negatively impacts your testosterone levels. Anything that's good will help boost your testosterone levels. So if you want to build an elite level physique, you need to have these basics things in check. Your training has to be on point. Your nutrition has to be unprocessed. Little to no alcohol consumption. Sleep has to be good, quality and quantity. Your daily rhythm has to be on point in order to be productive throughout the day, in order to train well, in order to be able to sleep well. All of these things need to be good for you to be able to develop into an elite level physique. These are the things that are the most important. Other supplements like truly BS test boosters you find on the internet, you don't need any of those things. Fat intake is an important part of your diet. Your diet needs to be good. Anything that is not good in your diet is going to take away, which is again why lifestyle is so important, because it impacts, good or bad, your testosterone levels. And testosterone levels are the male primary hormone for a male. super important for motivational biology, for everything. Training, super important one as well. You do not want to overtrain. Cortisol is not necessarily bad, but it does reduce, it has a negative relationship with your testosterone levels. So the higher your cortisol levels are, the lower your testosterone levels will be. Weight loss, as we all know, it's not rocket science at the moment, is energy in versus energy out. If you want to lose weight, you just need to consume less calories that you are burning, which will get you into a deficit. Stay in there for a longer period of time, you will lose weight. Weight gain, other way around. Consume more than you are burning. Calories is the currency of your body. Be in a positive amount, so more than you need on a daily basis for a longer period of time, and you will gain. Money is the currency of the world, of your wallet, for a business. If you're in a negative balance, you will stake away from your reserves, right? If you have profits, it will stack onto your reserves. It's the same with your body, it's just a different currency, calories, all right? With training, it's workload capacity plus recovery, made a typo there I see, plus recovery capacity versus the actual workload you are doing. This is the balance in training. If you overtrain, you outbalance the balance. And stress or training is just a form of stress like everything else is. Processed food is an additional source of stress. Working is a form of stress. Stress itself is a form of stress. Training is a form of stress. Everything you do when you're awake is a form of stress. And if that is not balanced to your recovery ability, your recovery capacity, then you have an offset. The more the offset, the more cortisol and stress hormone will rise, the lower your testosterone levels will become. This is also another reason why you need a personalized training plan. Because everyone's lifestyle is different, everyone's stress levels are different, everyone's stress tolerance is different, everyone's advancement of muscle group is different. That's why you want to have a good personalized plan so you can have this in balance. So someone who is working as an entrepreneur might not benefit from as much training as somebody else. It's really not about how much you can do, but about how well you can recover from it. You want to do the most amount of load you can handle, which you can still recover from. If your recovery capacity is very low because your workload is super high, then your actual workload in the gym can't be so great in order to make progress. You see, that's why you need to have a personalized plan, which is a reason why I am coaching, because if you want to truly go fast into an elite level, build a very good physique, you want to have a personalized plan and you want to focus on gaining knowledge. After 6 to 12 months, you just want to focus on gaining knowledge, to train smarter and better. Really, there's much more to it than just adding more weight to the bar over a longer period of time. Don't want to be doing much cardio, because again, if you add cardio and cardio and cardio, it's more likely to offset the balance between workload capacity plus recovery capacity and the actual workload you are doing. So the more you offset it, the more likely you'll be able to less progressively overloading your workout, be less able to recover from your workouts. So what about compounds? Because people say that compounds boost testosterone. So basically if you're doing heavy leg workouts, deadlifting, squatting, even though deadlifts is not really a leg workout, but squatting a lot, then your testosterone levels will increase. And your upper body will grow from that as well. That's actually not true at all. Reason being, yes, it's true that it boosts testosterone, but it only, if you look at the data, only boosting it for about 30 minutes. So it's just not significant enough. Afterward it will drop. If you want to have a serious benefit, it needs to stay constant for a longer period of time. And same with women. You can, being exposed to hot women also boosts testosterone. But it's not like, it's just not going to sustain. You won't have that increase for 24/7, not for 30 minutes. If it dips back to normal, you're not going to have a benefit from it. What does bring you a benefit? Just an overall better lifestyle and better physique. More health, which will increase your 24/7 amount of testosterone levels. That's what's going to make the difference. So you don't need to do compounds. It's not gonna boost it more for the 30-minute range than a hack squat or leg press is going to do either. It just really depends on what are your training goals and what are the sufficient or the right exercises that suit that goal. Right? So if you want to be a powerlifter, you do squat, bench, and deadlift. If you want to build muscle and muscle only, and that is really your priority, you still want to get stronger weekly. But if you look at the 5 parameters for successful hypertrophy, and you know what those things are, which are also explained in my course in great detail, then you will start to understand that, hey, these compounds, they just don't hit much of these. So they're not optimal for my goal. So again, knowledge is everything. You want to focus on improving your knowledge. So just make sure you lift regularly, have good balance when it comes to this, do not overtrain, have a good lifestyle, and that will help you increase your testosterone levels. Another one very important is the last one for today. If you go below 8% body fat, everything will start to wear out. Everything will start to tank and tank and tank lower, which is why being 6% body fat people you see on stage is not healthy. Really tanks down your testosterone levels. And along with that, functions of the body, including your hormone regulation, will go down and down and down. Some people who go on stage have organ damage. So basically, if they get to like 6%, very low single digit body fat, and then try to rebound, most of the time everything rebounding, including your testosterone levels, but not always. For some people, for example, what was 100% liver functioning before, or kidney functioning before, could be 80 or 70% afterwards. And going above 15% will also decrease your testosterone levels. And 20% it's like where you really see it go down, down, down. Right? There's another thing that leads into this is nutrient partitioning, which is also very important. Because basically nutrient partitioning means is how much of that calorie surplus or the calories you are eating is being absorbed into muscle cells versus fat cells. And the more fat cells you relatively have, so let's say you have a person who has only muscle, right? The only energy you consume can go into muscle because there's literally no fat. And the more fat you have, relatively more of that energy will also get into those fat cells. So eventually, exponentially, the fat will start to increase and increase. And also on top of that, above 20%, really the testosterone levels are starting to tank and tank and tank down, which is a reason why you ideally just want to move, bulk and cut between 8 to 15%. Get above 15%, just start cutting down, because you're just going to put on more and more and more fat the longer you stay in a surplus. Alcohol and weed, once again, alcohol, super toxic, tanks down your testosterone levels. You don't want that stuff. Just better to eliminate it out of your life fully if you're serious about building a career and building a great physique and being a high productive value man. It's just something you don't want to have in there because it just impacts your testosterone levels significantly. And then weed, not directly, but indirectly not a good thing either. Because what smoking does is it decreases your REM sleep, which is your active sleep, the stage in which all the cognitive functioning are being processed, right? So basically everything you absorbed in your mind cognitively in a day is being filtered and given a place in your memory while you are sleeping. The light sleep phases, the non-active ones, the non-deep ones, the non-REM ones, is for your physical recovery. It doesn't really impact that so much. But REM sleep is almost being reduced to like nothing when you're going to bed after smoking weed. Which is also why eventually you stop dreaming, because dreaming happens in those active sleep stages, and which is also why people tend to have short-term memory loss when they are smoking weed. Because the information is not being processed in their sleep. Alright, so my guide to improve testosterone levels. If you're serious about building a great physique and you want to look more into my course, check out the description, send me a message on Instagram. Hope it was of value to you, and see you in the next one. Salute.